The main point of this story, obviously, is Jesus and the signs he works, changing the water into wine, and then the fact that this reveals something about him, his glory, his divinity. And the disciples come to believe in him, start to believe in him. And John, the way he writes it, makes it clear that this is the point. And, of course, with John, and you could say all of Scripture, the point is then, a further point, is that we also will come to believe in Jesus, right? Believe in his divinity. And so you might say the most important, or the more important part of this story is, halfway through to the end. I'd like to look at the beginning of the story, though. I'd like to talk about Mary and what the beginning of this story, what we can learn about her from it. There was a wedding in Cana, Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. So notice John doesn't write that there was a wedding in Cana, Galilee, and Jesus was there, and his mother was also invited. Clearly, I think, and I'm always cautious about making inferences from Scripture, and I encourage you to be cautious also. But I think we're on safe ground to say that the mother of Jesus had the stronger connection to the wedding. And as a second piece to offer in support of that, when they ran out of wine, it was Mary who did something about it, not Jesus. And finally, I would offer Jesus' own words. He says to his mother, "Woman, how does your concern affect me?" And so, what my point is here, that Mary has the stronger connection. Right? And then I'd like to go from Jesus' words. How does your concern affect me? Strictly speaking, it's not Mary's concern, right? It's the concern of the couple or the family of the couple or whatever. But because of Mary's connection to them, whatever that is, their concern has become hers. And this, by the way, if you want to know what compassion is, here's a good definition of compassion. When we allow others' concerns to become ours. When others' pain pains us. When others' joy brings us joy. When others' worries worry us. But Mary takes that further. Their concern has become hers, and now she turns around and she wants to make that concern a concern of Jesus. And this, I think, says something very important about Mary. We, down at St. Anne Retreat Center, I created that chapel, Mary, Mother of Mercy Chapel. And many of you have seen it. And if you remember, outside the chapel, I have a little saying from St. Catherine that Karen Walls and Mike Schaefer made for me. And it says, "Have recourse to that dear Mary, who is the Mother of Mercy. She will take you into her Son's presence and use her motherly intercession with him on your behalf, so that he will be merciful to you." And this is what Mary does. she would take us into her Son's presence. Mary makes our concerns hers. Why? I would argue that she, by being mother, it starts with her being mother of God. It seems like longer than that, but it was just 2 weeks ago we celebrated the solemnity of Mary, Mother of God, right? She's the mother of Jesus, who was God. And from that flows this concern she has for us. First of all, we're brothers and sisters of Jesus. And so we are, by adoption, so to speak, children of Mary. Secondly, you remember at the foot of the cross, John's Gospel. Jesus says to John, behold your mother, and to Mary, behold your son. And we've always seen that really as larger than just, John, take care of my mom, and, mother, take care of me. We've seen it in a broader sense as well, that he was giving her to us and us to her. Then also, I'll put this other little piece in. The fifth glorious mystery. Remember the coronation of Mary. She's the queen of heaven and earth. And often you'll hear people talk about that mystery as if it's some kind of reward for her or a natural consequence of her being mother of God. And those things, there's some truth to them, I guess. But I hear something deeper in that. That the Queen has concern for all of her subjects. And so, in this sense, Mary cares for us in this sense because she's appointed to. And I don't mean this to be cold or like, okay, I have to do this now. This is what I'm appointed. No. We see a couple of examples of this, everyday examples. Parents who adopt a child. I've always liked that, and I know there are different motivations for adopting a child. But at their best, a couple says, this child is not ours, but we're going to make him or her ours. And from that moment on, they take that child into their hearts and their home as if it were their own child and make it. It becomes their own child. And so now the welfare of that child is their concern. I'll give you another example. A pastor. You hear a lot of things from priests about what being a pastor means. It means running a parish or teaching or preaching or doing this or that, or whatever. I've come to the conclusion over the years that the first responsibility of a pastor is to adopt his parishioners. In other words, that their concerns become his concerns. And as you know by experience, and as you can guess, we priests do that better and worse, depending on who we are. I wish someone would have said that to me in the beginning. Maybe I should have figured it out earlier on my own, But the first responsibility of a pastor is that his parishioners now become his concern. And so you would think, and I've heard priests say, well, what do I care if so-and-so's child goes to this college or that college or the other? It seems to me a pastor, a true pastor, does care because, first of all, his parishioners care. But secondly, their welfare becomes part of his concern. And so Mary, made Queen of Heaven and Earth, now we're all her concern. And what it brings me to here is this, that the idea of Mary as intercessor is not just piety or a nice thought. I'll encourage you, exhort you, never hesitate at all to bring your concerns to the Blessed Mother. I know our non-Catholic brothers and sisters, Christian brothers and sisters, don't feel the same way, and they think we're in error, some of them, by that. But I think from this old gospel story, out of the gospel itself, we can draw sure inferences that Mary has concern for us. And I want to give you a picture of it, just so you have a visual. It's a mural I've been wanting for years to commission down at St. Anne, Retreat Center. So as I say, I know many of you have been down here, you've seen that chapel. There's a long hallway, right? So here's the wall along this way. Then the wall turns, and there's a door in this wall. So picture this rectangle. I've always wanted to have so this side, this wall, would be the wedding at Canaan. And you'd see the couple and the guests maybe. But you'd also see the empty wine jars and maybe a steward with some consternation on his face or something. And this would go down and be continue on to this wall. And over here on this wall would be Mary and Jesus. And Mary would not be looking at them. She'd be looking at Jesus. Maybe her hand or something like this to make that reference, But that's the picture I'd like to leave with you. I know it's my imagination, but I think it describes what I'd like to encourage you. That whatever's going on in our lives, especially if we bring it to her, becomes Mary's concern. And she will take us into Jesus' presence. Use her motherly intercession with him on our behalf. And I know you hear a lot of times it's motherly intercession, meaning that she's the mother of Jesus, and what son could ever refuse anything of his mother? I think I'm on pretty safe ground here. I've heard a lot of mothers talk about their sons, and I don't think I'm too far off saying sons find a way to ignore what their mothers want. Yes, she has a connection to Jesus that we don't have. But that motherly intercession is because also she's our mother. She's been appointed, you might say, our mother, but she's also chosen that. Yes, a pastor is appointed to a parish, but at some point, a pastor has to choose it also if he's going to be a good pastor. So Mary is our mother in a real way. That's not just childish piety. She cares about us. She cares about what we care about. And she will take us into Christ's presence and use her intercession both as our mother and as Jesus' mother. She'll make that connection, connect us to Christ. So never hesitate. Never think it's childish or whatever. Take your concerns to the Blessed Mother, whatever they are. Whether they're practical, I'm looking for a job, or spiritual, I want to grow in this virtue, or I'm having trouble with this sin or something. It doesn't matter. Take your children to her. Take your parents, your spouse, whatever. Any concern you have, take it to her, confident that she will make it her concern, and that she will take that concern and make it Jesus' concern.